Good morning and welcome back to the Essay Desk. This is episode 37 of your daily essay masterclass. Today we are decoding a single aphoristic line that hides one of the sharpest paradoxes of the Indian growth story: the distance between the daughters this republic educates and the women it actually employs. Stay with me, because this theme keeps returning to the essay paper in different clothes, and once you learn to see its shape, you will never miss it again. Here is today's topic. The Republic educates her daughters and then forgets to employ them. Notice the voice. It is bare. It carries no quotation marks, and it rewards a candidate who can decode rather than merely describe. This belongs to the gender and justice family, a theme that appeared in 2020 and 2023, and one we expect to return with real force in 2026, because the data behind it has only grown sharper. Start every abstract topic by asking what tension it is hiding. Here, the tension sits between two truths that should move together but do not. Formal access for women has genuinely widened, yet paid economic life has not opened at the same pace. Your thesis should hold both truths without flinching from either. Something like this: a republic's commitment to gender justice is measured not by how many daughters it schools, but by how many women it is allowed to earn, decide, and lead. So closing the employment gap must become as urgent a national project as closing the literacy gap once was. Fix that thesis in your first 3 lines and hold it without wavering until your last line. A one-dimensional answer on this topic simply lists facts about women's employment. A top script builds momentum. Open with the social dimension, the paradox itself. Move into the economic dimension, what unpaid care work costs a household and a nation. Then rise into the constitutional and ethical dimension, where the promise of equality lives. From there, turn inward to the psychological dimension of agency and choice. Then outward to governance, the schemes and laws meant to close this gap. Close with the global comparison and a technological angle, the new and old economies of women's work. And do not skip the counter view. Some will argue that participation rises naturally with income and urbanization, the so-called patient wait for growth to do the work. Engage it honestly. Then show why waiting has already cost India a generation of educated women, and why policy, not patience, must now carry the weight. Anchors are evidence, not decoration, so never let a number sit alone. Always interpret it. Ambedkar is widely remembered for the idea that he measured a community's progress by the degree of progress its women had achieved. Use that to open your constitutional dimension. Then immediately test it against the record. The Periodic Labor Force Survey's 2025 annual report, released by the Ministry of Statistics in March 2026, found female labor force participation at just 40%, against 79.1% for men. And among women outside the workforce, 44.4% cited childcare and homemaking as the reason. Set that beside the Essay higher education data, where the gender parity index has stayed above 1 for 7 straight years, and female enrollment now outpaces male enrollment. The lesson you draw, and must write out loud, is that the classroom door has opened wider than the office door. If you want a third texture, the NSO Time Use Survey found women give nearly 5 hours a day to unpaid domestic work, against under an hour and a half for men. That is the silent tax behind every participation statistic. For this topic, avoid opening with the definition of gender justice. That is the weakest possible start. Instead, try a scene: a girl who tops her district in the board exams, and 10 years later, the workforce still does not know her name. That image alone earns you the first three lines. Or open cold with the two numbers, 40% against 79%, and let the silence between them do the work before you explain it. For your conclusion, do not summarize what you already said. Resolve the tension instead. Circle back to your opening image and turn it into a vision. A republic that has learned to count its daughters in classrooms must now learn to count its women in payrolls, boardrooms, and panchayats. That single forward-looking line can lift an entire essay. Here is one opening line you may adapt in your own words. She topped the district in her board examination, and 10 years later, the district's workforce does not know her name. And here is a closing line to hold in your pocket. A nation that has finally learned to send its daughters to school must now learn the harder lesson of keeping its women at work. Notice both lines are short, concrete, and image-driven. That is what an examiner remembers at 2 in the morning on the 40th script of the day. Let us recap the 5 moves for today. Decode the tension honestly before you write a single line. Fix one thesis and never abandon it halfway through the essay. Choose your dimensions and order them so each answers a question the last one raised. Deploy every anchor, whether a quotation, a scheme, or a number, with your own interpretation attached. And finally, close on a vision that resolves the tension, never on a bare summary of what you already wrote. That is today's masterclass. Go decode, go write. And remember that the essay paper rewards the candidate who thinks in public with honesty and structure. To everyone grinding through this long, uncertain preparation, today is a good day to write one paragraph you are genuinely proud of. That is how a topper's script gets built, one honest paragraph at a time. If you would like the full written model essays with the examiner's own margin notes, drop your email in the comments or write to team